Dr. Banner, belted by gamma rays, turned into the Hulk. Anti and glamour race.
Why the fuck is Rhino here?
Wrecking the
The
town.
Hulk shouting Sega. Come on, that was a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I have to agree, yeah. Wrecking the town with the power of a
As
bull.
for the Rhino's there, T.O., Hulk's fun against Rhino. He needs a lot of bigger foes to challenge him.
I know, but like Rhino is clearly more associated with Spider-Man. It's like
My guess is...
It wouldn't be the first time, T.O. Remember,
no, the
Kingpin...
matchups I don't
Yo, my
understand.
name is the Hulk, and my name's Bruce Banner.
My guess is they really wanted a boss battle against yet another villain, iconic villain, but they couldn't come up with one. So, let's just throw in the Rhino, why not?
I mean,
Oh,
to
no.
be fair, the comics
no.
have done it plenty of times, having villains from other franchises cross over to
Oh no, Joe,
other
we
heroes.
did. We saw, for example, Spider-Man fighting Juggernaut in Shattered Dimensions, for example.
Oh, Spider-Man has pretty much fought every villain at some point. Well, maybe not every villain, but every
Besides
villain
Joe,
you've
I
heard
remember
of.
I grew up with the Axel Vengeance crossover event, so I'm used to that.
Hey, you know,
Anyway,
speaking of-
Yeah, I'll explain more later. For now, what's Hulk doing in a City Bubsy level?
okay, so basically, The Incredible Hulk is a multi-platform game at the time, and basically it's an adaptation of the comics, because at the time, this was still before the Fox Kids animated series at the time. So basically, they took the look and the overall inspiration for the actual comics, from the actual comics themselves. And yeah, as you can see, it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up of sorts. The first thing you'll immediately notice is that the music is pretty awesome. Like, it's really catchy and well composed.
The composer for the Genesis was Steve Collette. Don't know who he is.
Basically, folks, combine the rockin' tune of the Hulk 60 show with some Mega Drive, aka Sega Genesis remixing, and you've got yourself a pretty spiffy track.
Well, actually, the 60s tune is not in this game, but yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, it's sort of based off of the style of the music it was used for.
Yeah, I don't see it. I see what you're trying to get at, but at the same time, not really seeing it. Yeah. As you can see, the enemy AI is not the smartest. Okay, so basically, here's the story. The leader wants to capture the Hulk to, take a wild guess, drain the gamma strength of the Hulk so that he can be just as strong as he is smart. Gee, I've never heard that before.
Oh,
Okay. Basically, for those who are not familiar with the comics, well, actually, no, I'll explain this later. Let me just, I think I'm about
I mean,
to...
it's your simple plot overall.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you
it's
throw,
what
if you throw the
music
enemy
is.
into one of those tight spots, they'll just die. Okay, here's an thing. If you press A, B, C plus start, you can use a transformation capsule that I got earlier in the sewers to transform back into Bruce Banner, so you can explore these tight little rooms. By the way, for those who wonder what is that T symbol that I'm getting, basically the levels are under a time limit. Well, actually, no.
Oh, and Bruce Banner is packing heat.
Actually, no time limit. Sorry, yeah. Basically, Jova, your only means of defending yourself when you're Bruce Banner is with a gun. However, the gun only has 3 shots, so as you can see, it's not exactly the most reliable thing. The best thing you can do as Bruce Banner is try to not get hit as possible, because if you get hit, you return back into the Hulk. So basically, see how long you can get, so how much of the stage you can get past without getting hit, and so you can preserve your gamma energy for later. I guess you can say that. Anyway, okay, Dwebs, here's the story of this game. The leader is, in case you don't know who the leader is, remember that guy from the 2008 movie, Dwebs, who got hit with the gamma rays and his brain started growing?
Yeah.
Okay, that was supposed to be the leader, who's the Hulk's most fearsome enemy. The leader, Dwebs, is basically the kind of polar opposite of the Hulk, in the sense that whereas the Hulk is dumb but strong, the leader is incredibly intelligent, the most intelligent mind in the Marvel universe in general, but at the same time, he's incredibly...
not that great in physical.
Yeah, it's physically weak. So basically, the leader's primary goal in the comics is to capture the Hulk and steal the gamma strength of the Hulk for himself, so that he can become the ultimate being with...
And take over the world.
Yeah.
With the best of both.
Yeah, basically, he'll have the superhuman strength of the Hulk, while he'll still preserve his superhuman brain. So that's what the plot of this. Oh god, the frame rate. That's what.
Also, this was this was made by Probe Software. The same company was behind
The Terminator Genesis game. Yeah.
Although without David Perry here.
Well,
And
actually,
Batman Forever.
well, remember too, David Perry was in Virgin, not in Probe Software. So Probe Software.
Actually, no. I'm checking his actual page. He said that he worked for
Oh,
Probe
he did?
Software for a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of games,
So
including-
that was before he
including
moved to
the-
US. Okay.
Including the Tintin on the Moon game.
Yeah, he was. They were back on the Commodore 64, if I remember correctly. Or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
think it's Commodore 6.
well, David. Well,
Oh.
David. Well, here's the thing. Too. David Perry is British, and he started making games in the UK, and it was only later that he moved to the US to work at Virgin Games USA, which is of course where his golden age started there. But yeah, I'm not that familiar with his UK games career. But yeah, if he wasn't Pro Software, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, there you go, Dwebs. Well, look at the bright side. At least we got a somewhat decent Hulk game from your country, at least.
I guess.
Okay. So you're probably wondering what are those T symbols that I was collecting? Basically, even though the level does themselves they don't have a time limit, the bosses do. The more T symbols you collect over the course of the level, the more time you'll have to defeat the boss. Don't worry too much about it. The bosses are not that hard to defeat within a time limit. It's more so the difficulty of the bosses themselves that's the problem, not so much the time. Honestly, I don't even understand why they bother with that time limit thing for the bosses. It's just not needed. Anyway, okay.
Oh, Abomination?
Hello.
That's the first.
All right, Dibs. You might remember the villain of the 2008 movie, Dibs, Abomination.
No.
Tim Roth turning into that giant creature.
Remember, Dweebs,
Again, no.
Again,
Honestly,
Dweebs,
okay.
Dweebs, the thing that's being locked in Antarctica ever since. And he has never brought up again in the Marvel
Okay. To you and Pedro, to Dwebs' credit, even most MCU fans don't remember Abomination because it's not like the MCU's been really trying to remind you that Abomination is out there.
True. Yeah. But anyway, Abomination
Kind of
is
have been putting Incredible Hulk under the rug.
Abomination, Dwebs, is the Tim Roth character from the 2009 movie, aka this military guy who tried to become a powerful gamma creature so he could stop the Hulk, but of course he turned into he went insane and turned into a bad guy.
literal Abomination. That's
Yeah.
what
So basically, what happens with the story is that the leader managed to ally himself with other villains from both the Hulk and even Marvel Universe, since Rhino is here. So I'm guessing too the story is that the leader hired Rhino because Rhino is kind of a mercenary in a lot of the.
I guess, or either that or mind controlled him. Rhino is very stupid anyway, so
Wouldn't be the first time Rhino's been mind controlled. Or the
yeah.
last.
Anyway, yeah, the leader managed to get himself his own personal Sinister Six style of group. And they're all trying to take it all because obviously most of these villains have already fought the Hulk, so obviously they're out for revenge.
Again, it kind of makes sense because when it comes to Rogue's Gallery, Hulk one is not that impressive because everything considered.
Yeah, it's a factor of things with Hulk. First off, Hulk's deal is kind of with almost everyone, so making a rogues gallery for him kind of feels a bit redundant. And two,
The whole cartoon had to borrow villains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not
not that the major important ones that he has are bad, like the aforementioned Leader and Abomination. But aside from those two are the more iconic. The others are kind of obscure, like the one we explored
Tyrannus.
in the old 2003
Exactly.
Video game.
Basically, Jova, here are the villains of one of the villains of is Tyrannus. Teo, would you mind?
it says something that I'm a
don't
comic book
remember
fan,
that.
and even
Yeah,
I'm not
please,
that well adept
Let me
with
check
Hulk
just to be
Hulk
sure on Comic
Gallery.
Line.
Okay, let me get it.
And again, when it comes to the Hulk, I'm kind of a bit more miffed because I only read a couple of comics in the 90s where he was in his gray period and was in gray period again as Mr. Fix-It, and he was fighting more supernatural enemies like Despair, Nightmare, or Satanish.
You know what I
Mask.
like? Okay, I really like the Hulk era around the time of Secret Wars, where Hulk could actually speak properly and could actually control his anger. I mean, sure, when he got too angry, that would cause him to go belligerent, but he had a better sense of control. Oh, you know what? Actually, that's a good.
There you go. Now we're
boss.
yeah, we're
Oh my
fighting.
god, the Rhino actually got stopped by a bullet there for once.
Well, he's
Indeed.
not the Juggernaut, so...
So there you go. Basically,
but-
fighting the Rhino is incredibly easy. Just do what I do. Just wait here, uppercut him, then jump. There you go. Do, rinse, repeat.
But of course. You know, that's actually... But yeah, it's funny I mentioned Secret Wars. If ever there's a good jumping on point, it's Secret Wars.
Well, too, I guess this is a good representation of the character. His tactic is incredibly stupid and fits the character.
I mean, okay.
What happened in the Spider-Man PS1 game? Just lure him into the barrel in the electric central lines, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Kind of a shame. At some point, the original Rhino did have some nice character development and got out of the villain game.
Well, I haven't seen that completely. How is Rhino in the PS4 Spider-Man game?
Oh,
Pedro?
I'm sorry, what?
How is Rhino... Oh, hold on. With Rhino defeated, the Hulk leaves the scene of destruction for a place of peace.
I like how the cutscenes are done in comic book style. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Hulk chants for
Hulk
peace
chants-
falls to peace as he steps into Tyrannus' trap.
Did the Hulk just get hurt there?
He fell into a trap, Joe. That's all you need to know.
It looked like he had that damage animation going down.
Alright, time for a bit of backstory. Tyrannus is a weird case. He's kind of an immortal being that lives since the Roman Empire. I don't remember exactly why is his particular grudge against Hulk. I think it's a love struggle because he loves Betty Ross. He happens to love Betty Ross, and obviously, you know, that kind of doesn't fly with Bruce. But I don't remember him that much. His powers are mostly mental, you know, similar to the ones of Editor.
Sounds like.
I actually have a bio here, so allow me. Alive during the days of ancient Rome, Romulus Augustus was a brilliant scientist exiled by Merlin to Subterranea after a failed bid to conquer Britain. Okay. Therein...
Yeah, remember.
What?
remember, Dweebs, the Roman civilization, for as much as they tried to, they never managed to completely conquer the Britain Insula. They stopped like halfway through, and they built a wall to separate themselves from the barbarians.
Therein, he discovered and became ruler of that land's residents, and reverse-engineered the deviants' technology left behind in those caves and caverns, uncovering a fountain of youth that allowed him to maintain his health. In modern times, known as Tyrannus, he decides to finally attempt to conquer the surface world and kidnaps Betty Ross to prevent her father's for the basic Dwebs. All you need to know is that
he's a bit like Vandal Savage.
all you need to know, Dwebs, is that he's a pissed off ancient Roman who wants to take over the world. That's all you need to know.
Right.
Oh, and he's also kind of a sorcerer. He's not, as Jova is already expressing, he's not one of the more memorable villains of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Let me write this. It sounds like Vandal Savage, but not nearly as awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically we're exploring the original maze in Civilization that he found back in all those days. So we're finding ancient Romans of sorts.
You know, I think I figured out a big issue with Hulk's Rogue Gallery. It literally seems to focus on just at most 3 or 4 gimmicks. Gimmick number 1, a mental one who uses mental powers to, do mind over muscle. Gimmick number 2, an opponent who is able to match him in might or be supposedly stronger than him. Gimmick
Which
number
in
3.
turn makes him kind of a copycat.
Yeah, gimmick number 3, literal copycats of the Hulk. Yeah, there are some evil Hulks in there. And gimmick number 4, absorbing his radiation or powers.
Absorbing man, you
That's
mean?
it.
It's interesting,
don't
it's
get
interesting you say that, Jova, because the next villain after Tyrannus is absorbing men.
Oh, I know more of that one.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's not to say that's necessarily a bad thing, but it is kind of a bit awkward when someone can actively notice the number of gimmicks there is to a rogues gallery. Like, look at cases like Superman, Batman, or Spider-Man, or the X-Men. I mean, don't get me wrong, X-Men have it easy because they have an entire race of mutants where they can do whatever powers. But look at, again, the big 3, Spider-Man, Superman, and Batman. Their rogues galleries are nice and varied enough that don't just...
That's a Mega Hulk capsule. It fills me and turns me into Mega Hulk. What does Mega Hulk does? Basically, this. I can literally shake the floor with my... And I can even... There you go. I can even squeeze my enemies to death.
Jesus.
There you go.
Ooh.
So there you go. Basically, as you can see, however, the white part of my bar is decreasing automatically. So obviously this doesn't last because otherwise, you would be too OP. And you can see I can also move faster. Basically, it's the Hulk when he's at his angriest. There you go. All right. Okay. Basically, Webs, all you need to know is that the Hulk villains are not exactly the most memorable outside of Abomination and the Leader.
Or they're evil.
It's kind of a shame, honestly. I think there could have been a bit more potential, but it's a similar case. It's in the DC universe with Wonder Woman, but it's by her own admission and what she's supposed to do. She even tells, I think at Batman at some point, the fact that she doesn't have a proper rogues gallery like, say, The Flash, because she's more into compassion. She's being the spirit of truth. She tries to talk with these people. She still has a couple of major antagonists like Cersei and Cheetah, but otherwise, a lot of actually what were villains actually eventually become good people as a result because of their character traits, which is actually kind of nice. But with the Hulk, his stick is all about basically beating the opponents. The psychology stuff is reserved for Banner himself, so...
Again,
yeah,
except for those parts where Hulk has sort of different mentalities, but I digress.
Again, that's also one of the things that I like about the Mr. Fix-It run, because they try to shake things up a lot by giving Hulk these more supernatural enemies that try to screw in things that could not simply resolve by smashing the opponent.
In that case too.
Despair, basically there's this particular issue that I grew up with where Nightmare, which is a villain of Doctor Strange, and Despair, which is a bit, well, a complicated case, is just an entity that feeds on fear, let's just say that. These two try to take advantage of the Hulk because it's in that moment he's in a very easy state to predate, to prey, in a sense of try to make him fear. This is because around that time, Betty was pregnant, but she kinda had an accidental miscarriage. So Bruce was in a very anger state because he also wasn't able to reveal himself to the public because it was kind of incognito. And so these two spirit entities spend an entire dream sequence of Bruce trying to having this despair and fear, but ultimately he still accepts what happened to Betty and still say that he loves her, and basically they triumph with the power of love. It's very cheesy, but I really like that. So that was a kind of way to refresh things up. There was even another issue where he fought Werewolf by Night, a werewolf, in case you don't know, Daves. So again, that was an attempt to make fresh, but on normal side of things, Hulk sadly doesn't get a lot of love when it comes to traditional hero versus villain scenarios.
Yeah.
Well, Tia, if you like the Mr. Fix-It era, you might like their take on Hulk in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the cartoon. I mean, it's not exactly Mr. Fix-It, but it does harken back to those times when Hulk can actually speak properly, not in broken language, and where he has those split conversations with Bruce Banner.
Appearance-wise, the Hulk that I liked the least was the one with the jacket during the Infinity War comic run. What the fuck was up with that? I don't even remember if it was the original Hulk or the one from Future Imperfect. That was a weird time.
Anyway, yeah,
yeah, go ahead, Pedro.
So yeah, as you can tell, this is a very simple beat 'em up. It's not that the game is bad. The major problem of this game is that it can get quite repetitive, and because as you can see, the fighting mechanics are not that expensive. You don't have that many range of attacks. You have basically fists that punch. And for the most part, that's about it. You do uppercuts. And I think the problem is that this game probably would have been much more enjoyable if the Mega Hulk status would have been the default one. I mean, yeah, it would be
Honestly,
broken, but
I think even the Mega Hulk status would have gotten old. I think a good way to describe this is like okay, it's tragic. Wait, Abomination? What are you doing here?
Abomination is a mini boss in every level, Jova.
Wow.
Well, to be fair, he kind of counts as archnemesis, so it kind of makes sense.
And yet, Incredible Hulk, the movie, tried to beefing him up to actually ruthless master villain status.
Also, I kind of love Hulk Sprite's strut when he
Yeah.
the way he just moves like a boss like that.
I think a good...
Funny.
Anyway, going back to the thought about this getting repetitive, it's kind of tragically, ironically symbolic of the issue with the Hulk as a series itself. It's like, well, when it's not focusing on more like the more deeper mental themes of Hulk, it is kind of your typical monster beat 'em up more often than not with the Hulk. And again, that's not to say it's bad, but it is sort of a reason why with Hulk, you see Hulk changed a lot more, like Wonder Woman does. Although, see, with Wonder Woman, she just gets revamped because there's so many possible stories you can tell with the character. Hulk kind of feels like he has to get revamped every now and then, if only because everyone knows, yeah, it's going to get pretty old if it's just a guy who yells, Hulk smash, and, well, yeah, he does just that. Like, even the movies have kind of suffered for it. Granted, they have plenty of other problems, but... Again, one movie tried to be more deeper and mentally provoking because it didn't want to just be a dumb beat 'em up thing, and then Incredible Hulk did the opposite, and well, we all know how that turned out now, don't we? It is kind of a shame, though. Again, this is why I definitely like the times when Hulk can actually think properly. I like when he can give the snarky one-liners, because at those points, Hulk is able better to control himself. Now, what may or may not help that kind of era is whether or not the government is still trying to hunt and track him down, or just realizes, maybe we should leave this guy alone.
Anyway, that
Pedro.
particular wall, you have to try to find a switch somewhere that's sitting somewhere so you can
I kind of like the gimmick of this level of having to find a switch and punch them to reveal the
not even a switch too, it's a face. It's these faces
and you punch.
and you punch the face. Well, this is the only kind of puzzle that can work with the Hulk character, so
Yeah. Well, honestly,
there you
kind of
go.
makes sense.
There's actually a hidden passage here, and there you
Kinda
go.
takes advantage
Punch the face.
of-
There you go.
Kind of takes advantage of what Hulk does best and goes, I'll do something with it.
There you go.
Although, like I
Well,
have to say,
look at the bright side, Job. At least the game was not made by bits.
Well, that's kind of the bottom of the barrel, but I see your point. And look, that's not to say that this game is bad. It's just, it's kind of
no,
one
I
of those...
actually kind of like it.
Oh, yeah. I like it too. I will say this, though. It is one of those games that does kind of run the risk of, wearing out its welcome a bit too earlier.
Yeah, the
granted,
big problem is that every level essentially boils down to the same thing: just beat shit up, basically.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Maybe it's just because this level seems to be more of a maze, but it does kind of feel like it is risking getting a bit old.
There we go.
Okay. Like, compare this to Castlevania. You got your Simon Belmonts with also their struts and whatnot, but that game also introduces all these different power-ups and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
Whereas
boss
Hulk,
battle against
from what I can
Tyrannus.
understand-
There's Tyranno.
Ah, there he is in all his unmemorable.
I
glory.
love his boss theme, by the way. Again, the music in this game is awesome. Like,
Props to the composer.
Yeah, definitely.
all right.
Funny enough, the game had different composers depending on what system you had. If you had the Super Nintendo or Mega Drive version, it's from Steve Collett. If you had the Master System or Game Gear version, it's Matt Furness.
Oh, okay, that makes
Ah.
sense. Matt Furness was the guy for composer for Pro Software at the time. Yeah, basically what you do is if he's flying high, just jump. Basically, just keep hitting him as much as you can and try.
Now, okay. Now this side is actually a nice break from the norm with most of the mooks we've been fighting. So this in and of itself is good.
There you go. Dun, dun.
Boy, Tyrannus, how many hits can you
design is
take?
very, very outdated. They
lot.
will never fly to it today. In fact, I don't even remember. I don't even think the character has been used in a long time.
Well, there's kind of a reason for that, Tio.
Honestly, I think most writers just forget he even exists.
There's a good reason for that. Gee, guys, let's see. Immortal character has a cape and everything. Supposedly has mental abilities, but mainly just flies and fires projectile beams. Kind of a dime a dozen in the comic book industry. And Tyrannus, again, Tyrannus wasn't even really that memorable from the get-go. Now, granted, I don't know if Vandal Savage was a thing at the time, but all I know is like, well, for some reason, Tyrannus kind of worn out his welcome.
Yeah.
And, that's not to say he was a terrible
There you go.
in execution and everything. It's just, there's obviously not really that much of place for him here in the modern
Leaping
world.
from the decaying debris of Tyrannus' labyrinth, the Hulk lands in a trap more dangerous than the one he just narrowly escaped.
Or Hulk.
What, an editorial mandate comic?
The Hulk realizes his mistake. Too late. Now he's at the mercy of his most dangerous enemy, the Leader, a being whose gamma-irradiated genius threatens to overwhelm all mankind.
And whom we haven't
Hulk
seen
has
in 10 years.
Yeah, Hulk has a knack for landing in kind of the most precarious of positions.
Alright, everybody, in the next part, we explore the Leader's laboratory and fight our next nemesis, Absorbing Man. Yes, Dwebs, they actually created a character called
explain to
Absorbing
it.
Man.
I'll explain to it more in
Guess
that
what?
part.
Tim, guess what he does, Dwebs?
What?
He's
Absorb
called.
stuff.
Very good, Dwebs. How did you guess that? Anyway, see you, everybody.
Yeah.
See ya.